Ovid's approach is very different from other companies in the space. In years gone by, people have thought about large areas of disorder, Alzheimer's, depression, schizophrenia, and they're very important. But what Ovid has decided to focus on is the 100 diseases, each with a very interesting name, like Dravet's, Angelman's, rare disorders, 50,000, 20,000 patients, 4,000 patients, but they in total represent 1 million patients. And those 1 million patients across the United States have families, they have real disabilities, and mostly they don't have medicines. Every area of science has a rhythm, and that rhythm is essentially driven by the amount of scientific data that evolves to show a tipping point. And that tipping point is a tipping point where suddenly the sciences come together to allow you to approach the area completely differently than before. Now, 20 years ago, there were a few brilliantly interesting changes in the way we looked at cancer. It wasn't giving Taxol, a very important drug, but one of the first drugs. It was about, is there a molecular mechanism that we can address? And that molecular mechanism, for example, was Gleevec, attacking a terrible but rare disorder, CML, where people died. And at that period of time, people were saying, well, it's no point in looking at this, it's very few people. We should be looking at breast cancer, we should be looking at lung cancer. So lung cancer and breast cancer of the yesteryear is in scale the same way as depression, Alzheimer's, large areas, big companies focus on. But suddenly a company focused on a rare area, and that was Gleevec. And that opened up the idea that rare areas of cancer may offer you new ways of thinking. And what we saw by 2004, 5, 6 was suddenly science was pouring into areas such as immuno-oncology. A few companies started there. They focused on a rare disorder, melanoma, a terrible cancer, lots of deaths, lots of patients, and a few patients, and no therapies that were consequential. People were dying. So this was a terribly rare area. But immuno-oncology, the way of mobilizing the white cell to attack that cancer, was a completely different way of thinking. And so suddenly the science behind all of the new thinking that had been triggered by Gleevec, triggered by other interesting new approaches to cancer, started to pour into this rare disorder. And you had, for the first time ever, hope that you could attack a cancer differently by starting at a rare disorder. Now, what's interesting is that Bristol bought one company, and there was only one at that stage, Medirex, and that company led to a tremendously interesting discovery in melanoma, and that discovery led in turn to the complete change in the way we think about cancer today. So here we are from 2007, 8, 9 through to 2017, we've gone from one company dealing with immuno-oncology on a rare disorder to over 1,000 clinical trials dealing with all of the cancers. So you've had a sea change, and I believe that's what we're seeing in neurology. In neurology, the sciences come together around what you can attack in rare disorders. The very rarest of the rare, but the science is there, the animal models, the cell models, the genetics of them, the new ways of looking into the brain using imagery. All of these have now, some of them have actually drifted out of cancer into neurology. And I think for the first time, and really is the first time, we now have the beginnings of what we saw in cancer, the breaking open of neurological disorders, starting with these rare disorders, because the science is there.